So I guess disclaimer as per all videos, this is purely my opinion that will be possibly influenced by people in the chat. I haven't had the chance to play everyone yet. I've gotten a decent amount of characters to master. I have touched everyone at least a little bit. And obviously I've been doing commentary for a while now for Street Fighter 6. So, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt, because obviously tier lists are stupid. But, you know, if you want to be up in arms about it, you know, just say so at some point during the stream. But, you know, but yeah, let's go ahead and start with the main man himself, Mr. Streets himself, Ryu. I think as a Ryu main, and not to downplay, since the buffs they gave him with Hasho being now -3 and being plus on block in Burnout, I think Ryu's actually gotten significantly better. I still think he has quite a few weaknesses, you know, in neutral and in terms of like Oki pressure. He doesn't have a great drive rush. He doesn't really have like a drive rush fireball like a lot of other top tier characters. So it's a little bit harder for him to really, you know, get that same kind of pressure going. But he's got a pretty strong throw game, strike throw game, and he's also got good fireballs right now. And I think that'll be addressed even more in the following patch, now that he'll be able to like store Denjin and not be forced to use it. I do think, yeah, I'd probably put Ryu around B right now. I think he's solid. I think he has the potential next season to be here with the Denjin changes. Because I think that's really the only thing holding him back right now, is that a lot of the fights in neutral, when he wants to throw fireballs and stuff, he can't get a 2-hit fireball. If he gets it, he's forced to use it, and the threat of him having that so that he can get even more damage with a Hasho charge is just so much more important for him, to just hold on to it a lot of the time, which means he just doesn't have a fireball, which can be a pretty big detriment. So, but Luke, you already know. You already know. Luke's best character in the game. I don't care what anyone says. You're capping if you think otherwise. Crouching medium punch is just insane. He has easily the best like lane game in the game. Like, he can play so slow comparatively to any other character. With level 1, his fireball, he's got an amazing DP. His current crouching heavy punch that hits cross up also, so you don't even have to DP half the time. He's got, if some character needs it, he's got it. Unfortunately, like with Luke, there's almost no reason to play competitively a character like Ryu, just because Luke does a lot of the stuff that Ryu does, but better. Outside of not having a Denjin charge, I mean, having hit scan fireballs, and just some of the craziest damage in the game just kind of carries him like to the top. It is like, if you play this character fundamentals, like with really good fundamentals, it is so hard to beat Luke, because at any point he'll just hit you for 1,000,000 damage. So definitely a top 1 character for Chun-Li. I don't know what everyone's capping about. If Strongest Woman comes to you and says this character is A, don't listen to her lies. Or this character is B, don't listen to her lies. This character is an S tier character. Chun-Li is belligerent. She plays insanely well. Forward medium punch is the dumbest move in this game, and it is hit conformable. Her normals are insane. I don't care what anyone says. She has a free drive rush fireball off of light Kikoken or heavy. Heavy has like no recovery. So she can just walk right behind it or drive rush behind it for free. She doesn't even have to use an EX bar to do it, unlike most other characters. I would honestly argue the only like slight detriment that Chun-Li has right now is, you know, like her anti-airs are kind of finicky on certain angles. You know, Tensho kicks can whiff here and there. But outside of that, like outside of not having like, you know, an install level 2 effectively, she has probably the best level 2 in the game, barring those ones, with crazy damage, great Oki. She's just an overall strong character, and anyone saying otherwise, you're kidding. I don't think she's top 2, and we'll move around some stuff here, but she's definitely S tier, 100%. Jamie. Jamie, I want to say Jamie is still C. If he's not C, he's very, very low B. Jamie's issue right now is he has a very hard time against a lot of the really good characters just getting drinks. Him being reset to 0 drinks every round, and having to really work for it to try and get those drinks to kind of be able to get an anti-fireball tool, you know, get access to his target combo, dive kick and whatnot, so he can bait throws and get around fireballs, is very difficult, especially against characters like Ken and Luke, who can just kind of rush him down and just keep him pinned in, which forces him that if he gets the knockdown, it forces him to go for Oki most of the time, which means he doesn't get drinks and he's only doing 90% damage. I do think the throw buff that they gave him was huge, and some of the buffs that we're going to be seeing here in the future, I think will help him probably like put him in the high B tier, if not A. I think he's one to really look out for next season. But right now, with how he plays, I just don't think Jamie gets the consistent damage or the pressure he needs, especially against a lot of the really good characters in this cast. Once he gets going, he's very strong. It is very hard to fight him. But right now, like, he's got great spacing traps and all that, but right now with everything else, like, it's just tough for him. I think he still has a really hard time dealing with a lot of the cast. Guile. Dude, I've been seeing some people putting this man in like B tier, bro. Dude, I think this guy's still S. Guile is either high A or like low S tier. I think the only thing, like, Guile has no bad matchups in this game. The only bad matchups for Guile are player matchups. I think he has some of the best like pressure in the game. He basically nullifies a lot of the characters in this cast. I just think Guile's issue right now, the reason why he's not like top 1, is because he is so, like, you have to play him so perfectly a lot of the times. And like one call out in this game will just do 1 billion damage to you. So it is very, very difficult for Guile to play consistently at like a competitive level. You know, you can play very well with Guile, but like characters who, like, people who kind of have your patterns down, like Guile, like, he'll still explode. Like, anyone else will still explode in this game. You know, Cammy, you know, Luke, all these characters, if they just get in on you once, like Guile is like everyone else. He still has to guess. So it's very, very difficult for him to just be consistent a lot of the times because of how volatile this game can be. But he is the best character at keeping people away and shutting them down. It's just those situations, like, he has to hit you constantly. Like, he doesn't 2-tap you like Luke or Marisa, right? He has to hit you a lot of times, for most of his combos. But he does have a really good drive rush game with drive rush fireball, probably the best one in the game with Sonic Scythe. You know, and he's got the best fireballs in the game. I think his other main detriment is that crouching heavy punch is kind of ass as an anti-air, and hopefully they fix that for him, because I do think they should. But hopefully they tone down some of his other stuff, like heavy boom. Heavy boom has like 0 recovery. So, all right, Kimberly. Okay. I know Cuz Lightyear is gonna tell me like, oh man, you're wrong. She's like here, bro. I think Cuz is wrong. I think Cuz, dude, Kimberly is not D tier. I think Kimberly's B. Spray can makes it very difficult for her to, like, for you to perfect parry a lot of her stuff, and she can mix up her offense pretty easily. I think the big issue right now with Kimberly is she just gets completely smoke checked in neutral. Not neutral, but like when she gets put in the corner, it's extra bad for her. She doesn't really have a good anti-air. Her crouching heavy punch gets trades so often with a lot of characters. Even in the corner, it trades almost all the time. So her not having a consistent anti-air really, really sucks. And also having really bad defense kind of stinks as well. Which is why I think she just has a big issue. But the problem is if you give her an OD reversal, I think she just cooks everyone. Obviously, perfect parry still exists in the game, which can nullify a lot of her mix-ups here and there. But it's pretty easy for Kimberly to just kind of change up how she does her offense, especially with the spray can on the ground. I do think also the fact that she doesn't get her spray cans back every round also hurts her a lot. So if they were to give her spray cans like every round, and crouching heavy punch is also buffed, Or they give her Tatsu's actual anti-air properties early on instead of like at frame 8 or whatever. I think she'll be pretty good. I think she should have a weakness, which is her defense. But she has a bit too many weaknesses right now, and I think that kind of just has her fall apart, especially when she fights in neutral against a lot of characters. So I think mid to mid bottom mid B tier is pretty good for Kimberly. Juri, S tier. I don't know. I think this one's difficult. I do think Juri's up here. It's the thing is, like, Juri has belligerent drive rush. Her dash goes just as far and is almost, even though it's a slow dash, it is super hard to react to in jab checker a lot of the times. Juri also just nullifies a bunch of matchups in this game, like Manon and Marisa. Juri effectively just has to throw a fireball, and both those characters are suffering. Marisa can try and Superman punch over it, but Juri can just DP it. Manon literally can't do anything against Juri when she just throws a fireball. Yeah, Juri just completely walks over Kim as well. There's a lot of matchups in this game where Juri's fireball just nullifies it, like, and it's kind of crazy how strong her fireball is because of that. So I do think that Juri, I think Juri does a pretty good time. She's got really crazy good pressure. I think the only thing really holding her back, I guess, is that a lot of her damage is kind of locked behind getting her Fujin stocks, which some characters can really do well stopping her from getting them, like Luke, you know, and Ken, a lot of the other top tiers. So, you know, if Juri can get her offense going and get her Fujin stocks, she has a lot of access to, like, a lot of damage. She still does well. It's just, you know, she has issues. Obviously, not having a Fujin stock means she doesn't have a fireball unless she uses EX. So, you know, there's those issues. So I definitely think she's either up here, she's either top of A. It's difficult to say. I want to say these two are really close. These two are kind of neck and neck in S tier. If not, they're both like top of A. Dhalsim. All right, I don't have a huge amount of experience with this character. I do know he kind of does struggle here and there. This one's tough. I want to say bottom of B. I do think people are sleeping on Dhalsim. I do think Dhalsim does pretty well with a lot of his mix-ups and with his pressure. It's just like it's just the issue comes down to his defense is not there. His drive reversal technically doesn't work. It works, but it also, like, the second hit of it doesn't have invuln frames. So there are some setups where you can trade with it if he does, like, drive reversal. So, like, that's a little weird. You know, it's just he has really bad, like, the people who can just run him over, like, just do it really, really well in this game. But he can also shut down a lot of other characters pretty hard, like Zangief. But that's always been a bad matchup for Zangief, so that's not really new. I do think it's just going to really depend on these Season 2 changes where Dhalsim goes. It's just perfect parry, you know, and a lot of other things in this game just kind of nullify, you know, drive rush just kind of nullifies a lot of Dhalsim's, like, ranged game. And the fact that you can perfect parry a lot of his stuff and still punish it, and then just get in on him, just makes it really difficult for Dhalsim to kind of keep you away. If you're playing really on point. So definitely troublesome for him. Honda. Nothing else. I think Honda might be like the one like a D tier character. This character, from a competitive standpoint, Honda sucks. Let's be honest. Honda Headbutt is effectively worthless as a neutral tool because perfect parry exists. I don't want to say entirely worthless. It's a mini game. That is honestly one of the best ways of putting it. It's a mini game. Butt slam, you know, just perfect parry just completely nullifies two of the biggest moves in his kit, and it makes it really difficult for Honda to really get anything going. He's got pretty scary pressure, and headbutt in the corner, especially once a Honda starts mixing up the spacings to stop you from getting the perfect parries, can be very difficult to deal with. But he doesn't have very great defense because you can throw loop his only real reversal, which is EX headbutt. You can just throw it because it's only armored. You know, his supers are okay, but again, it's just in neutral. he just gets outclassed by so many characters, especially characters with fireballs. It's just very difficult for Honda to really get anything done in this game. I think at a low level, he's a scrub killer. I mean, you're forced to have to learn how to perfect parry if you're fighting against Honda, because he can just play really stupid and do well. But if you want to play at like the highest level, you got to play fundamental Honda, and I think fundamentals Honda gets completely washed by everyone else in this game. Pretty hard, unfortunately. I don't think he has like. It's not impossible for him to win, but he's almost always playing at a disadvantage just because perfect parry exists as a system. So Honda has to like slowly make his way in on you. He can't really just like, he doesn't have like a good, like just a drive rush, you know, free button to just kind of get in like a lot of other characters. He doesn't have EX Fireball into drive rush, right? He doesn't have like a good effective way to get in and keep you kind of in that loop outside of just making really big gambles, which can be pretty detrimental for him. So I think D is pretty good for him. You could argue probably low C, but again, like I still think he could beat any of these characters in this cast. He just has a harder time. Ken. All right, I think Ken. This one's controversial. I think Ken's A tier. I still think he's top 10 in this game. I don't think he's S. If he's S, I think he's bottom of S. And I think Ken's big issue right now is that it's less along the fact that he's been nerfed in any significant way, but I think it's more along the lines that everyone just knows how to fight Ken. And I think everyone can deal with a lot of Ken's toolkit. Not like Jinrai is still very oppressive. Crouching medium punch is very strong. Low forward is very strong. Low forward drive rush. He's got EX Fireball into drive rush. Like heavy punch is still very belligerent. Like this character can deal with anyone up here, easy. But he doesn't have a whole lot of damage. Not like a lot of these characters, right? Like Luke shits out damage off of any hit. Ken, on the other hand, does not do nearly as much damage as Luke can off of any hit. You know, driver's jab is obviously very strong for Ken as well. It's just, the thing is, like, again, like a lot of these characters can deal with a lot of that, and kind of put Ken in the blender as well. And I think a lot of these characters kind of have better neutral than Ken. Not that Ken's is bad. Again, heavy punch is very strong. He's got very good buttons. Crouching medium kick is very strong. I just think, like I said, it's just in terms of the hits, like going back, like knocking each other back in terms of hits. Like if you put Ken against Luke, Luke just does more damage. Like they both have about the same neutral, but he just does way more damage. He's got better utility supers also comparatively to Ken. You know, Ken having a full, like Ken hitting you once and putting you in the corner is very big, which is why I could see the argument for up here. But it's difficult. It's difficult. I'm gonna put him here for now, but I think I can change it. I would be open to changing this later. All right, Blanka. He's A. I think Blanka still has a lot of fundamental issues with his kit. You know, slow medium buttons, and like hard to, like not easily confirmable buttons like that as well, off his mediums, off of certain things, right? But he's got the craziest pressure in the game, the best mix-up pressure in the game, the best level 2 in the game, you know, barring maybe like Rashid level 2, and insanely crazy damage off of anti-airs, whether they trade or not. Blanka just does crazy stuff. I think the main issue right now with why people think Blanka is so crazy is because no one labs Blanka. And this was a big discussion on Twitter last week with Mena and everyone else. I don't think, like, Blanka has really good tools. You know, Rainbow Ball, jump back Rainbow Ball, which has like 0 whiff recovery and is plus on block. You know, crazy good tool, right? He's got a lot of really good stuff, but I think a lot of people just don't really lab his mix-up situations, right? Like people don't know what the risk reward is for certain options, and they just take usually not a great option, like a very, very high risk option, and they get blown up for it. Blanka is still very, very scary. He does have a fair amount of weaknesses. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of crazy long-range normals that are quick. Crouching medium punch goes pretty far, but it's very slow. A lot of his fast normals are very, very low, like they don't go very far. right? Like his standing light kick, which I think is his 4-framer, does not go very far. So he does have issues kind of fighting back in defense outside of just doing a reversal. If you can stay in on Blanka, it's pretty hard for him to get him off you, for him to kick you off. So I don't think he's like honestly like the be-all end-all, but he's a very scary character. All right, Deejay. I think he's top 2. Deejay is easy number 2. This character is like, in some ways, I think he's up here. Deejay is such an ignorant character in this game. And I'll just be straight honest here. For his strength, crazy good drive rush, amazing fireballs, right? Best EX fireball in the game, honestly, because it's plus on block. It gives him a launcher, whether it's on normal hit or punish counter, which he can then full screen drive rush to get a full combo off of it. Insanely crazy pressure in the corner. If you're in burnout, good luck, because he's got a lot of advancing plus on block when you're in burnout strings, like his target combos. Soback kick is the most ignorant special, one of the most ignorant special moves in this game. That shit is so free, goes super far, and is very hard to punish. Deejay players barely have to space that move out for him not to get punished, because it has so much pushback. Even though it's -6. Deejay in this game can just choose to play hyper lane. Not to mention his anti-air also goes full screen. His flash kick goes like crazy far. You cannot empty jump on Deejay. He just blows you up for it. And he does insane damage. He does crazy damage for literally no reason. He is very, very strong. He has almost 0 weaknesses, honestly. He has the best rushdown in the game. He has some of the best zoning in the game. It is so difficult to deal with a good Deejay. He is insane. He's just very, very strong. So I mean, I think the only thing stopping him from being like top 1 is the fact that he doesn't have like a crazy good like tool to like beat people drive rushing at him. He's got like light kick and whatnot. But you know, like Luke just completely shuts down neutral. Deejay can almost kind of do the exact same thing. There's no real weakness in Deejay's kit, which is just insane. So he is very, very strong. His risk reward is crazy good. So definitely a top 2 character. All right, Manon. I want to say Manon is C. I might be downplaying here, but if Manon is in B tier, she's like very bottom of B tier. I think Manon's issues right now. All right, let me start with positives. Manon's positives right now is that she can shit out a lot of damage if she gets her throws off. She's got really good frame traps from standing medium punch, drive rush into throw, into command grab. She's got really long reaching normals, amazing anti-air, probably one of the best in the game. She's got 2 really good anti-airs. She's got crouching heavy punch and she's got Rond. Her anti-air can lead into a metal, which is very, very good. She has a pretty good way of dealing with neutral. Her fireball, she just falls apart against fireball characters though. It is so difficult for Manon to deal with fireball characters effectively because Renverse is just not a good move. I mean, it is okay, but you have to like hard call out people a lot of the times to get to punish, specifically to punish with Renverse. A lot of characters like Cammy can just press spin knuckle, she'll fly across the screen and just get a counter hit. Manon doesn't have that option. Manon has to commit to the kick, or she has to commit to the hit grab, or she just does the fake one. And a lot of the times you're usually just doing the fake one, which just loses to slow fireballs. If you just throw a slow fireball, Manon just gets smoked. So she just has no real way of dealing with slow fireballs, which just makes it very difficult to deal with a lot of characters like Ryu, Deejay, and maybe not Deejay, but like Ryu and like Ken, Juri especially, because Juri fireball is almost impossible for Manon to deal with without taking huge risks. But I think the main problem with Manon is that her strike pressure is just not there compared to her throw pressure. I think it's so much more in your favor to just constantly hold up whenever Manon is hitting you, because if she tries to go for a reset, you just hold up and call her out, which is true about most like grapplers like Zangief. but there's almost no reason. Like, it is very difficult for Manon, because even if she goes for her full combo, she doesn't really get that much Oki. Usually she gets no Oki off of doing her combos, which is just very difficult for her to deal with that. She's usually having to lose a lot of damage to get some Oki, and it's usually not enough for it to be a real good mix. So hopefully Manon gets a little bit better strike pressure and a little bit better Oki with a lot of her stuff to kind of make her a little bit scary of a character. And also hopefully they give her the ability to actually deal with slow fireballs, because dealing with Juri is impossible right now. It is so difficult for Manon to deal with Juri outside of taking massive risks. So, all right, Marisa. I think Marissa's bottom A. I think Marissa's only up here just due to the fact that no matter what, she always blows you up. Even though there's a lot of characters that kind of can deal with Marisa with good low forwards, like Luke, you know, Deejay and whatnot. If you mess up once against Marisa, she kills you. The only reason I think like she does really well in almost every matchup, only specifically due to the fact that at any point she can just kill you. At any point you mess up once, she blows you up for all your health and then puts you in a mix-up. She's very easy to use. She's got Gladius is very strong. She's got decent mix-up game. She got a command grab. I think she's overall pretty solid. I mean, she's got a plus on block advancing move in Superman Punch. So yeah, I think she's very scary to deal with a lot of the times. You have to play very slowly. She's like playing against Zangief, but with like real neutral. Neutral that leads into stuff. Like her whiff punish game is insanely powerful too. If you get whiff punished by Marisa, you're going to be in the corner or you're going to take a billion damage. And she's got a lot of easy ways to get into safe jump as well. To get safe jumps setups. So, you know, Marisa, very scary character. I just don't like. I think she still loses to a lot of these characters because they can just do crouching, like low forward into drive rush and then blow her up, or just do fireball into drive rush and then blow her up. But again, if you mess up once, she just kills you. So, very solid character. JP. I think JP is still about top 5, top 6. JP, so I'm currently playing JP right now and getting him to master. JP still has insanely crazy pressure. He has the best long range game. He's got insanely good normals. His level 2 is so powerful. He also shits out damage pretty easily off of a lot of his moves. You mess up once against him, you're full screen. His throw you full screen. He's got an air grab for some reason. Right now, like JP's only real weakness is that he has no anti-air, which is kind of stupid. I think his anti-air nerf was kind of unneeded. I think if they wanted to give him a weakness, it shouldn't have been that. I think they should have taken away some of the power that his normal buttons have. Crouching medium punch is insanely powerful as a drive rush tool and anti-drive rush tool. Heavy punch is super strong. Heavy kick is plus on block. Like he's got so many crazy good neutral tools, and then they're like, what if we just made his anti-airs horrible, or just not great? Which I just don't think is a good weakness. If you're a JP player, when you make the right call out of like baiting a fireball and then going for anti-air, you almost always trade, which is really dumb. So I think in terms of weaknesses, obviously like JP can still be put in the blender just like a lot of other characters. You know, if you are good at making sure you know what your meaty fireball pressure is, you can stop a lot of JPs from just doing wake up amnesia, because amnesia does not beat projectiles. So you know, he's still very, very strong, but he is extremely technical. I mean, things have to go your way when you're playing JP, just like if you're playing Guile. I think Guile and JP are kind of in that same tier right now, where like it is, you have to play perfectly, and at any point someone drive rushes at you gets a low forward, gets a heavy punch counter hit or something, and then you just die. You know, and a lot of the times JP does have to like poke you a lot to kill you. I do think like if they're going to change anything for JP, it should be that they should nerf his normals and give him back his anti-air. I think just nerf his crouching medium punch, nerf his standing heavy punch, like the disjointness of them. Nerf his crouching medium kick slightly. Like, I don't mind him having decent pokes, but like he has insanely good like fireball pressure and like long range pressure, especially with Portal. Portal is so good. Portal is crazy good, and he can, and the Build-A-Bear combos he gets are crazy. I mean, man can combo off of literally anything. It is choose your own adventure book for JP on how you do combos for him. You can just push buttons and they'll combo, especially off of like a Portal hit. So, you know, in that sense, he's pretty strong. But again, like, you do have to be aware of what's optimal for him in most situations, off of most hits and things like that. So, all right, go ahead and put Cammy in D tier. Get your ass out of here. This character is top 3. I don't give a shit. This is my hot take. This is my hot take. Cammy's top 3. Cammy's top 3, if not top 5. She's like right here. She's like right here, dog. Cammy has some of the best neutral in the game, if not the best. Crouching heavy punch is insanely belligerent and has no knockback and is a crazy good mix-up tool, and crazy good just pressure tool overall. She's got a side switching DP, which works in her favor most of the time. She has access to very solid damage. She has a full screen level 3, which effectively locks down every fireball character in this game from doing fireballs ever. The moment she has level 3, if you have a fireball, you cannot use it. You literally cannot use it because she can full screen punish you if you try and do a fireball, which is crazy strong. Her dive kicks, as much as people like to meme on dive kicks in this game, her dive kicks pressure is crazy. She can bait out throws very easily and do insane damage. She gets you to the corner very easily. Spin Knuckle is the best anti-fireball tool in this game, bar none. I don't care what anyone says, that move is the best one in the game. So she plays neutral so well, and her movement speed is crazy. She's also like one of the only characters that can get throw loops effectively mid-screen. So if she calls you out doing back roll, because her movement speed is redonkulous. So, and her jab press, her jabs are crazy good. She's got a crazy good crouching medium punch to stop drive rush. Cammy's only real detriments is that her drive rush isn't all that great. And that's it. There are other issues. Her level 2 is not amazing. Obviously, like she has a little bit of issues comboing into certain things off of certain hits. But Cammy has so many tools that are just all usable comparatively to other characters. She also has a side switch target combo, by the way. But compared to other characters, she has so many tools for almost every situation that are actually usable. It's very difficult to deal with her. So go ahead and go on to Lily. Lily's either top of C or bottom of B. I'm gonna put her here. I'm gonna be controversial. I'm gonna put Lily here. So Lily's strengths. I think there are a lot of matchups in this game where once Lily kind of just gets the ball rolling, which is not incredibly difficult for her in some matchups, stopping her pressure is very, very difficult. Condor Dive, I've kind of been enlightened on Condor Dive as a tool, especially like against certain characters like JP, characters that don't have a DP, even characters with a DP. Condor Dive is a really good tool to bait stuff out with. Her neutral buttons are pretty solid. Her only real detriment is that her 4-frame light kick, which is her fastest normal, is really, really short range. But I think she plays the mid range pretty well, and she can keep a lot of characters like in that area and fight pretty well against them. I do think the issue she has is that a lot of the top tiers like Deejay, Guile, JP in some instances can completely shut her down. Like fireballs, if she just can't get her EX Condor, like any win stocks, fireball characters just stop her from playing the game. Her only real way to go through fireballs is EX Condor, which, you know, even that can be a gamble. It's really fast, so you have to close the distance and kind of mix up of when you're going to do it. But if you do that shit full screen, you can DP that shit. I think Lily has the potential to be pretty strong. I just think her kit just needs, I don't want to say a rework at this point. She needs something. I don't know. I think giving her a reversal would be very helpful for her, because her normal buttons don't go very far. Like in defense, when she's put in the corner, her light kick goes nowhere. It is very hard for her to jab out of pressure and fight back, because her crouching light punches, I believe, are like 5 or 6 frames. They go far, but they're like Zangief. Where like Zangief at least has crouching light kick, which goes really far. But you know, Lily just has no real way to fight back on defense, and her supers are pretty slow. I think our other big issue is her supers are kind of hard for her to combo into, which can also be a pretty big issue for her. Her 720 is jumpable. Her level 3 is jumpable, which also kind of sucks for her, but she can combo into it. So yeah, it's a little difficult for Lily to kind of get her game going, but like there are just some matchups in this game that are so polarizing for her. Again, like Guile. Like Guile completely nullifies her as a character entirely. Like that matchup is just not enjoyable for Lily players at all. Same with Deejay. So, you know, those two matchups are just incredibly difficult for her, but everything else, I mean, I think she does pretty well. Zangief. Geef is D tier. D stands for doesn't fucking work. Geef is bottom of C. I don't think Geef is the worst character in this game. I think Honda is the worst character in this game. I'm gonna be genuinely honest. I think Geef's big issues right now, he has a lot of buttons that just are worthless. Crouching heavy punch, I'm looking at you. He has a lot of target combos that just he has target combos that don't work a lot of the times. Standing medium punch works when it wants to. The second hit of standing medium punch does not go as far as the first hit for some reason. So you'll whiff punish some things, or you'll like hit characters, and then the second hit will just drop. Stomps don't combo. The first two combo, the third one doesn't for some reason. A lot of it, like him trying to stop drive rush pressure, can be pretty. It's actually pretty good for Zangief to stop drive rush, because his standing jab goes pretty far, and is a 6 framer, goes pretty far, and can actually stop drive rushes pretty well, especially drive rush jab. But again, when Zangief gets put in the blender, he has no real way of stopping you. His level 2 is like what, 18 frames. You can just you can almost, in a lot of situations, you can do a standing medium punch meaty or crouching medium punch meaty and recover before his level 2 hits you. It is very, very hard for Zangief to fight once he gets put in the corner. Obviously, Zangief's saving grace is that SPDs just do a billion damage. He's got pretty decent. He's got good neutral buttons. Crouching medium kick is very strong. Standing medium kick is very strong. When he wants to get damage, he can get damage here and there. But it's just, in terms of combo consistency, it's ass. You can jump in on Geef so easily. Lariat not hitting both sides is the dumbest thing they have ever done. You should never be able to jump in on Geef. Geef has never been a character that you can easily jump in on. And the fact that they made him basically unable to anti-air people is the craziest detriment in this game. It makes zero sense. You can belligerently cross up Geef all the time, forcing him to have to do perfect parries to anti-air, which then you can just empty jump and throw him. It's also easy to bait heavy punch. If Geef tries to do heavy punch as an anti-air, you can also just literally empty jump into DI and blow him up for it as well. It's just not, it's not a good time for Zangief. And yeah, everything is mad expensive for Gauge, 100% true. Geef has to spend a lot of Gauge to do not a lot of damage, and also not get Oki a lot of the time. So same with Manon in a lot of ways. I think Geef's big issue is they need to make his strike game, like they need to just buff his anti-airs. Honestly, buff his anti-airs and just make his target combos a bit more consistent, and I think he'll be okay. Like, obviously combo consistency would be nice, but just having an actual anti-air to fight characters would be so much more beneficial for Zangief than anything else. It is so easy for people to jump out of the corner against Zangief, because like most characters, if they do a throw loop on you, can whiff throw loop and then do a cross cut or something. Zangief literally cannot. There is no reason for you not to just forward jump because EX Lariat is too slow. And even if you wait for Zangief to turn around and then Lariat or EX Lariat, it is still too slow. It is still too slow and your opponent will jump out and they'll block your EX Lariat and blow you up for it. Like Zangief has a throw loop, but not really because you can just jump it. I mean, he has to strike you after. So there's like, you might as well just jump. And even then, his strike pressure, again, he's gonna get like crouching light kick, jab, jab, lariat, which you can get hit by that like 17 times. And like the difference is that you jump out, now you're out of the corner, Zangief's in the corner, and now you're having a good time, even if he has a pretty big life lead. Like, the only thing going for Zangief is that he just blows you up. He just blows you up for fucking up DP, for messing up, you know, some kind of punish. He just blows you up with an SPD and does like 4,000 damage. But outside of that, like, Geef is gambling the entire time still. So hopefully they can make him a little bit more consistent in season 2, so he can be a real character. But yeah, Rashid. I think Rashid's right here. I think this is a good spot for Rashid. Let's see, positives for Rashid. He's got a good low forward. He's got a plus on block medium. He's got pretty good mix up. He can do really good damage. Level 2 exists. Level 2 is insanely powerful. You know, his fireball game is actually pretty decent, especially if he can charge up. He just has really good buttons overall. I think right now Rashid's real negatives is his anti-air is not that good. Even after the patch, like, they buffed his EX reversal to be a better anti-air, but the fact that you have the EX reversal to get a consistent anti-air kind of sucks. You know, his heavy mixer still kind of gets jumped in on, even though it's supposed to be his anti-air by like Luke and whatnot, by Ken as well. So I think like Rashid just jumping it, like, people can just jump at Rashid really easily. But outside of that, I mean, he's got pretty stubby normals out here and there, but I think Rashid works pretty well. He's got a good drive rush. He's got his command dash. He plays neutral decent. I think there's a lot of matchups in this game that he does really well in. And I mean, as we've seen with Gachi-kun, who got like, I think, 3rd or 4th place in Capcom Cup. I mean, you can take Rashid to the heights. I think this character has a lot of untapped potential still also. You know, I think people are still kind of figuring out like his optimal combos. I mean, he's a Marvel character. He really is a Marvel character with how crazy a lot of his stuff can be. So, especially his damage in the corner in his mix-up game. So, Rashid definitely a solid A pick tier. Aki. I think Aki is B tier. I think Aki's right here. I think people underestimate Aki a lot. People act like Aki has like no tools. I think Aki has a lot better buttons than people realize. Not better buttons. She's a lot better than people realize. Aki's got pretty scary pressure. She's got drive rush fireball off of light fireball, off of her normal fireball, I should say. You know, she's got really scary pressure. Especially after her buff to her jabs, which is really sorely needed. A lot of her stuff is way more consistent now, and she can do some damage. If she got you poisoned, she gets really good corner carry, and she can do a lot of damage. I think right now her big negatives is she doesn't have a good anti-air. Her heavy lash is kind of ass. You know, her consistent anti-airs, or her other anti-airs was like heavy kick. Just not great. Also, can get jumped in on a lot. She has a lot of recovery on fireball, which can be a little difficult for her. And poison really isn't that scary of a tool outside of the punish, like the damage she gets off of it. So her setting up poison is like, I think at most, if you just let poison happen, I think it's like 3 jabs worth of damage, like 3 or 4. Like, it's really not that much damage compared to like compared to Fong in Street Fighter 5. Maybe I'm misremembering. I just remember Fong poison just being a little bit more detrimental comparatively to Aki poison. It just doesn't really feel that crazy, but again, like, just the damage she gets off of it though is very, very strong. Yeah, Aki, I don't think that she's like bottom 5 or bottom 3 like a lot of people think. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Aki can do really well in this game, especially against a lot of characters. Edward, final character in this list. I think he's solidly middle of the pack. Ed has really good control in the neutral. He has a pretty good fireball. Snatcher is very strong. Like long range, his mid-range game is probably some of the best in the game. His corner pressure is terrifying to deal with. And his reversal, as much as people like to meme on it, is not horrendous. I mean, it is slow, but it'll still catch you out most of the time. It's not really that bad. His level 2 is very strong. Also one of the better level 2s in the game. He gets pretty good mix up off of it and pressure. Maybe not as much as like JP or Rashid, but you know, Ed's level 2 beats Rashid's level 2, which is also a pretty big bonus for Ed. It has more hits and actually nullifies it, and then you can still use Ed's level 2. So I think Ed overall does pretty well. I think his big detriments right now is his defense is not amazing because his light buttons are extraordinarily negative. Crouching light punch is -5 and is very hard to combo. His standing jabs go nowhere. And obviously, you know, his DPs are not great because they're so slow. It's actually got a really good angle for beating like cross-ups and whatnot. The problem with it is just how slow it is. You have to be really consistent on getting that quickly. And people can empty jump you off of a lot of angles. Standing heavy kick, which I think is his other anti-air, or it's either standing heavy kick or crouching heavy kick, which I think is his other anti-air. I think his big problem, I think his big problem is just that he doesn't have a really good like longer range anti-air, because you can't medium DP really, or heavy DP people who like jump from a farther distance. So people can kind of just jump at you to close distance, and it's kind of hard for Ed to really decide on the really quickly what he needs to do to stop that, which makes it pretty easy for people to just kind of jump in on him. But yeah, I mean, I think Ed's burnout pressure is very strong. Flicker, even though light flicker is supposed to be -5, that shit does not feel -5, has like 0 block stun, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone successfully punish that move. So, not to say that it's like really good because of that, but it's not a terrible ender when it's so hard to punish, even though it's -5. But I guess the other big detriment for Ed is also not having a really good ender to like a special move to kind of end on, which can also be kind of an issue for him if you end up blocking a lot of his strings. But I think Ed's in a pretty decent spot right now. I think if they fix his jabs, and we're seeing that they're fixing his crouching light punch from being -5, which is also nice. You know, I think if they just fix a few of his issues, maybe make his DP faster at least, considering that it doesn't go very far horizontally, I think he'll be a pretty solid character. I think he'll be very good. He's very technical, and I think he does very well against a lot of characters. He can slow down the neutral very well compared to other characters. So, but yeah, I think that's the tier list. Yeah, that's the tier list. I mean, if you got any suggestions or what you think on what the tier list might be or what it should be, who should be on here, maybe someone should be higher, maybe someone should be lower, you tell me. I think this is a pretty consistent thing. I think I'm happy with with how this tier list came out. I think obviously I don't have as much information on like Dhalsim and Lily as much as I'd like. Same with Kimberly. I'm still kind of going through a lot of characters in ranked right now, and I'm sure my opinion on these will change once I play them. Hopefully post patch if they get some buffs, but we'll see. As far as I know, I mean, a lot of these characters have a lot of core issues with their kits that just need to be remedied for them to kind of just be a bit more consistent and be able to duke it out with a lot of the higher tier characters.